So here I am, I'll show you. I'm at our local feed mill, and there's a barn over here. That's where you drive through. Anyway, so I was just doing some math, just some simple math on how I could get the most out of my buck. Because really, with this whole chicken thing, what I'm trying to do is make money. I'm not necessarily make money, but I'm trying to give a really good product for not a crazy price, because I think everyone should be able to own chickens. And I think it's a little unrealistic that some of these feeds cost what they cost. So I was like, I wonder if I could just figure out a way to, it's a magnet, to like cut down on costs just a little bit. So what I plan on doing, I just bought some whole corn. I'm just gonna add some like lime to it and some soybean. I think it's like 60% or 70% base corn, 25% soybean meal, which is just like 50% crude protein. And the reason I'm gonna do that is just to increase the protein. I'm also gonna add in some layer 16%. So I might mix it all in there. This is just to fluff it up. I'm gonna add some lime, some crushed lime, some lime grit. That's just for calcium. I'm just seeing if I could really make a bag of feed that's under $10. That's my entire goal. Plus recently I've just been, with the chickens I do have, I've just been mixing some corn in there, and I've noticed that they eat the corn better than they eat anything else. So I'm like, why not feed them something they love? I also thought about fermenting it. I haven't ever really tried any of these. He's going to be in the video the whole time. He's a lover boy. No, but this is all just a learning process. Might as well. No, so today I went ahead and went to Menards. It's really hard because I kind of want to keep everything separate. So I went to Menards and I picked up a bunch of 2x4s. And I'm going to build some smaller chicken tractors, maybe for some meat birds here this spring. It's going to be really loud, I'm sorry. But the reason I bought 2x4s is because I'm actually going to split them in half so that these things don't weigh 1,000,000 pounds whenever I'm trying to drag them around. I'm just going to build little like 4x8 chicken tractors. I might film that. I'm really bad about filming stuff. I'm honestly really terrible talking on the camera. But I started looking at inputs and I started looking at feed, and I realized that you can't get out of feed what you would need with the same amount of money. Okay, so I'll just give an example. If you want 20% layer feed, you're gonna pay $23, $24 a bag for 50 pounds. Anyways, you can get 16% layer feed, cheaper layer feed. Granted, still like $13 a bag around me, roughly. Anyways, but there's a lot of places around me, like I just had 9 miles down the road, which is actually more convenient for me, of a feed mill. And so this is just a breakdown of what I'm gonna put in feed, essentially, how I'm gonna start it. I kind of wrote a little bit of notes down about the ingredients and the prices. Okay, so first up, right up here in the front, this is Dometic Ag Lime, which is just calcium carbonate. There is magnesium carbonate, that's what the Dometic part is. So this is where I'm just gonna add my calcium to my feed, because corn and soybeans and sunflower seeds, none of them really have a lot of calcium in them. But magnesium is a benefit. It just depends on where they source it. So that comes in at like $5.25 a pound. So if you're doing this right, if you're doing it commercially, you don't have to pay taxes on that. It's actually tax exempt if you do it correct. So right here, this is cracked corn. Cracked corn is high in phosphorus. It's got vitamin A, vitamin B complex 1, 2, 6, and 9. It's got beta carotene. It's basically just an energy source. It's a carbohydrate. That's all it is. So that's going to be the bulk of my feed. I'll explain the numbers here in just a second. This bag down here that you probably can't see, it does not matter. It's D-whole soybean meal. So around me, it's cheap. It's actually like $10.99 a bag. Should have mentioned the corn is $6.99 a bag. The reason I'm going this way is because I can actually buy bulk. So I can buy hundreds of pounds cheaper than this. This is just a bag. This is just a start. Anyway, so that is $6.99 a bag. Soybean meal is $10.99 a bag. Soybean meal, it's got vitamin B1, 2, 7, and 9. It's got vitamin K, lysine, magnesium, iron, and then I don't think you guys care about this, Molly. It's a trace mineral. Anyways, it's added to stuff like Nutri-Grow. Then in the front, I have black oil, sunflower seeds. Kind of probably read about those. A, E, B complex, folate, vitamin K. But the E specifically, E is really good for your immune system. Well, it's good for the bird's immune system. But it shouldn't be any more than like 10% of the feed. So that is a little more expensive. It's $21.99. I don't think it's necessarily necessary, personally, especially for a lot of layer feeds, especially if you free range. But I did it because it's such a small added. I'm just going to see if they like it. So what else was that? Oh, it's high in fat. It's got a lot of good fat, good fiber. So whenever it comes to mixing all this stuff, the thing is, the reason I'm going to do this is what I started talking about was protein. So corn in and of itself is only like 7 to 9% protein, depending on where you are, what kind of corn you have. I always kind of go off the higher range. I probably shouldn't, but it's fine, especially because I'm just in the middle of Indiana, really. I also bought some Producers by Sweet Feed. This is just going to be as a treat. Sometimes I might mix this in as a buffer. It's 12%. So it's better than obviously 7 to 9%. But so the easiest way that you can figure out how to add protein to a feed is by figuring out the protein that it already has. Okay, so everything is also easier if you round it up to 100 pounds. So this is 9% protein. That's 9 pounds per 100 pounds. So if I want it to be 20 pounds, 20% protein, I then have to figure out the protein in soybean meal. So de-hulled soybean meal, I think normal is 44% roughly with hulls. Without hulls, it's like 49%. So it's basically 50%. To increase 9% to 50%, 9 pounds to 20 pounds, you need 11 pounds. So 11% increase, so 11 pounds, but this is only 50%. Okay, how can I say this easier? So if it's only 50%, that means it's like 50 pounds of it is protein, essentially. So if you're trying to increase, you have to double the amount, if that makes sense. So like, you would take, it's like 11% increase, double that, because it's 50% protein, so 22 pounds. So if I have basically 100 pounds right here in front of me in 2 bags, if you have 9 pounds of it, you just add 22 pounds, which would be actually more than that, it'd be 18 pounds of protein. 22 pounds would give you your ultimate yeah, 22 pounds would increase 9% to 20%. That's correct. Also, it doesn't take very much lime, so a lot of this stuff, a lot of these inputs, like, yeah, this is $21.99. I think maybe it's $20.99. It's not that deep. Anyways, great. My character's gonna kick on. We're back.
I'm trying to do it.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do it with me.
I can? Alright, so if I do the average on these, and the way I look at it, I looked up layer feed, and it shows that there's between 30 and 35 quarts, and that's a 3-quart scoop. So that means there's roughly 10 scoops in a layer bag. So if this is 69 cents a scoop, essentially, and that's $1.20, $2.10, and then the scoop of, oh, I've added that wrong. So this ends up being less than $10 a bag. So it's what, $9.74, a little over, probably closer to $10. $10 for a 50-pound bag of 20% chicken feed. A little less, honestly, and it could be more, but obviously I'm not sacrificing on the protein side. But that's what it turns into, which doesn't sound like much, but whenever you're going to go through a lot of chicken feed, that's I mean, in comparison to the price for feed that you're paying, that's a pretty big savings.
I need a whole bag.
Oh.